Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and happy Taco Tuesday. Today we're gonna make birria tacos. I'm gonna show you my version of these delicious tacos. This is gonna be really quick and easy. So to get started, I will be using 1 large white diced onion, 5 minced garlic cloves, 1 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes, and these spices that you see here. I'm using 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of beef bouillon powder, 1 tablespoon of chili powder. Yes, 1 tablespoon chili powder. Now, when it comes to the chili powder, if you don't want to add that or if you want to decrease that amount, that's totally fine, okay? I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon of accent. Accent is a flavor enhancer and it worked very, very well in my recipe. I'm also using a pinch of salt, 2 teaspoons of Mexican oregano, 1.5 tablespoons of ground cumin, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, and 1 teaspoon of paprika. I'm also using these dried chili peppers that you see here. These are pasilla peppers and guajillo peppers. So I am removing the stems, the seeds, the ribs, and the pith. The ribs and the pith are what will cause your dish to be really spicy. So you want to make sure you get that out, get those seeds out. Now, after, taking out the seeds, I'm also going to give my peppers a really good rinse. Okay, so I'm going to add these to a pot, and I will also add in 3 cups of beef broth. That was just enough to cover the peppers. I wanted to make sure that they were fully submerged in that broth. Okay, and onto the stove they go. I'm going to boil these for 15 minutes to rehydrate those peppers. Okay, then after that, I'll add these to a blender along with the spices, the diced tomatoes, and I'm also going to use 2 cups of that broth as well. Okay, then I'm going to blend this on high speed just until it's nice and smooth and well combined. Now, I'll be working with 2.5 pounds of beef chuck roast. I've already, rinsed my meat off, patted dry. I'm going to season it really good with some kosher salt, some black pepper. I'm going to season it all over. Okay, and now I will sear my meat. As you see, I did not cut it up. I'm just going to sear it as is. Now, if you like to dice your meat up into large chunks, that's perfectly fine. Here I've added a small amount of oil. My heat is on high. And yeah, I'm just going to let this meat get a nice crust on all sides. Okay, so now keep in mind when you sear your roast, it's not going to be fully cooked, okay? You just want to get a nice crust. You also want to get some fond on the bottom of your pan. So once my meat has been seared on all sides, I will now remove it. And then I'm going to add my diced onions, okay? And I'm just going to cook these for just under 2 minutes. I also added in a little more oil because, my pot was a little dry. So if you run into that issue, just add a small amount of oil. Okay, and next I will add in my minced garlic, and I'm just going to let this cook until that garlic becomes very fragrant. And that only took like 45 seconds. Like, it takes garlic no time. But you don't want to let it cook too long because garlic can burn, and if it burns, you will have a bitter taste in your food. Okay, so I've added a small amount of beef broth to deglaze the bottom of the pan. That basically will get all of that fond up. Okay, so you want to make sure you add some beef broth. And that was about 1/4 cup. Now I'm adding the meat back to the pot along with any juices from the plate that it sat on. I'm also going to add all of that delicious sauce in there. Now also, when it comes to your blender cup, try to get all of that sauce out. Okay, you don't want to throw that away. So if you have some water or some leftover beef broth, pour it in there, shake it up a little bit, and get all of that sauce out. I am going to cook this low and slow with the lid on. So I also went ahead and I diced up some onions, chopped up some fresh cilantro. I shredded my cheese, and here I have my corn shells. These are the other ingredients needed for this recipe. My roast took 4.5 hours to break down. Okay, and this is what it's looking like so far. I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the pot. I also skimmed off some of the fat that had rose to the top of the pot. So make sure that you skim away some of that fat. Now, if you want, you could also fry your shells in that fat, you know, if you don't want to get rid of it. So it's really up to you. Your meat should be very, very tender at this point. You should be able to shred it with a fork or a spoon, or you can just use a knife and cut it up if you prefer. Okay, so now take your shells. You're going to dip them into that sauce. All right, and we are now going to fry up our tacos. Okay, so add it to your hot skillet with some oil in there. And yeah, go ahead and add your cheese, your meat, your onions. Listen, add whatever toppings you want to on yours. Okay, I did all of it. I also added lime juice as well. And at this point, you're just going to cook it until those tacos are as hard as you like. Okay, and yeah, go ahead and gently flip over that tortilla shell, and yeah, let it continue to cook. Okay, and this is done from here. I am now going to eat this with this delicious broth. You could call it sauce, or you can call it consomme, but that's what you want to eat it with. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give me a like if you did, and I will catch you in my next one.